ninja warriors through the ages. The powers they hold are legendary. Over the years, the ninja forged the deadliest poison. With only one antidote, they held the power of life and death.
You know, I hate the term because of who coined it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But drain the swamp? No, we need to drain the whole entire thing. We need to drain the whole lake, man.
Right.
Not just the side little swamp, the whole lake. Start
Right.
fresh.
Right.
Because
for real though,
nobody, and I think it would freak them out if they started seeing a bunch of new names on those ballots.
yes sir.
That would scare them to death.
Yes sir.
But at the same time, it's what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people are so afraid to stand up and, you know, run for those offices. There are plenty of everyday people that are so interconnected with their communities that could do so much more than what these people are doing.
Yeah.
They may not have a formal education when it comes to, like, you know, a college degree or anything else,
Yep.
but who cares? They can figure out their way through it, or, you know, bring somebody along that can read the lovely way they write legislation. Like reading it, I'm sitting there with a dictionary, a thesaurus,
Yeah.
and then also like a basic law book just to try to
Yeah.
bash my way through 5 pages of.
And they got hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Oh yeah. And then like, but that's what needs to happen. I think that it would seriously turn this country around if that were to happen. And to know that they had people in there that actually understood the day-to-day life instead of living in a bubble up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people are just so, well, I would say that so much trust has been lost by today's adults, meaning, you know, ages, you know, 20, let's say 25 to 65. Nobody trusts the government anymore. And people don't trust the process. And then you have the propaganda machine on top of that keeps reminding people of all the bad things and never really hones in on the good things and the things that we share as a country. Nobody wants to try anymore, like you mentioned. And if we get people in office at the local level, and get them some experience so they can actually run on a state, national level, that would help quite a bit. Again, though, man, it's really hard to control the type of power that comes from the money that's thrown around in Congress, man. Those lobbyists have such deep freaking pockets. Mm-hmm. And the global economy has been going strong for decades now. And you know, quite frankly, there are hands in the halls of Congress outside of our country, folks. If you don't see that, I'm sorry. Just look at the rows of the homes of the ambassadors in D.C. That will show you a lot when it comes to the type of money that flies around up there. But anyway, I think people just don't trust it enough to give a damn, and that's really unfortunate because now, granted. Here's the silver lining. Social media. Yep. Social media is going to bring back that trust because people are going to know each other personally or more individually as a collective, as opposed to listening to what, you know, CBS, NBC, all these other stations and mass media networks tell us to think. Now, granted, I might just put my foot in my mouth. I might not land a commercial gig with any of those channels now, but you know, it is what it is, man. Where I live is far more important than the money I make. Because at the end of the day, if I don't have anywhere to live, I'm not gonna make any fucking money. Mm-hmm. So I'm more concerned about the society that I live in more than the money I'll make. I'll make money. I'll have no problem with that because I adapt and overcome. That's my mantra. Yep. But it'll be nice to have a country to live in that I don't have to worry about stepping out of my house and just getting shot down because I look a certain way.
Exactly.
You know,
that's it. And I don't think that I truly believe that no American should ever feel that way. And the fact that
Amen.
People do That's a problem.
It sure
that
is.
needs to be addressed.
Yes, sir.
You know, but I was talking with a coworker, and it was really funny to hear him talk about it, because he equated what's going on and like how America works as a pendulum. And it's been sitting this way for so long. And he goes, the problem with everybody and all the pent up emotions from years and generations, and, you know, the constant pushing and, you know, the oppression of Black Americans and all this kind of stuff, all of that is, with social media and everything else, it's swinging. But he's like, we got to be able to bring it to the center. We don't need to swing the complete opposite direction. And he goes, that's the road we're heading down right now.
Yes, sir.
And it is a boulder down the side of a mountain.
Yes, sir.
And he goes, we have to find a way to stop it and bring it to the center where everybody feels equal.
Yeah.
You know, as the Constitution says.
Yeah.
All men are created equal.
Yeah.
And it was like, I can't stand the fact that, you know, and it breaks my heart even thinking about it right now, is that people feel that they're not safe walking out their front door. But we don't need to swing it so far the other direction that another group of people, let's bring it to center where everybody feels safe.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have that worry. Nobody has to worry about that. And everybody can focus on moving the country forward instead of worrying about their own lives. And, you know, obviously worry about your own life, but you won't have to worry about an outside circumstance taking you down.
Right.
And I don't understand why we feel the need to push so hard that it's going to go that other direction. You know.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about people not looking down the road far enough. When that bad boy swings back, who's to say you're not going to have people on the other side that's going to push that thing back so hard it's going to start severing segments of our society.
Yep.
You know, there's going to be a lot of legal ramifications after this administration's over. I'm afraid, just for overstepping boundaries and things of that nature, constitutional boundaries especially. But I hate to see people get villainized for supporting that man. And the reason I say that is because there are some good people out there who just happen to support Trump because they see him still as a quote unquote non-politician. He's not like those people, quote unquote. I'm gonna tell you right now, folks, you don't make that kind of money or come from that kind of money without being political in some way, form, or fashion. Whether you're supporting a party or whether you're conversing with folks and you're going to these meetings and this, that, and the third, you're always politicking when you have that kind of money. That's just the way it goes. And that's why Trump was so good at campaigning like he did. You know, he knew what he was doing. Being a politician is being a salesman. You got to negotiate. You got to be a negotiating son bitch, boy. I tell you, you got to know how to talk to people. So that's why I have a hard time trusting politicians, because I'm somewhat of a salesman. You know, I understand that you have to say certain things to certain people to get some type of certain outcome. But of course, you have to follow through when it comes from a business aspect. From a political aspect, you just need to please your donors.
Yep.
You don't have to please everybody else. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That goes back to what you was talking about of getting corruption out of our politics, because that's when people will start getting that trust back again. I think there's some legislation that could be put in place to completely take money out of politics altogether, because you can get people's attention now from your fucking house. You don't have to go on the campaign trail. Exactly. You don't have to go on the campaign trail. Hey, you don't have to go on the campaign trail, dude. If you want to run for office, you just need to campaign via podcast and live video and just talk your talking points. Okay, maybe get on stage once But you don't have to bring in millions and millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't cost that much money to get attention these days. So that shit should be out the door.
Exactly.
And that will help us.
100% true.
That will help us a lot.
Oh my God, would that help? I mean, what was I? Yeah, this whole entire situation, it's gotten so far out of control, and it's to the point where I was talking with my uncle, and he goes, I really, really, really want to see America get back to the point of the government fearing the people instead of the people fearing the government.
God, yes.
He goes, we've gotten so far away from that.
Yeah.
Where he pretty much called it a tyranny, but with a bunch of people running that tyrannical government. And it's so far, it's grown to the point where the people are like, it's so fast paced up there. People can't keep up. Mm-hmm. They're working on 37 different things at once. Nobody can keep up with all the different pieces of legislation. And my next thing is, why do we need so many things on the board? Why do we need so many things? Why do we need so many things on the books? As you said, let's bring it back a little bit, and let's get down to the bare basics of ensuring the safety and freedom of Americans. Why have we gotten so far away from that we need to feel the need to tell Americans what they can and cannot do in their own homes or their day-to-day lives? Mm-hmm. That whole entire idea of, my wife runs on this idea. Do whatever you want, just don't involve other people. Why are we so far outside that?
I don't get it.
Look out for one another, make sure you have each other's backs, but if you're going to do something bad, don't bring other people into it. And that can be used anywhere from drinking and driving to mental breakdown and grabbing a gun and walking out the door. No. You stay in your house. Don't involve other people. If you're, feel free to ask for help, but don't involve other people with your stuff. Mm-hmm. Same with drug addicts. Mm-hmm. Don't bring other people. And, that also for me involves a baby. If you're going to keep it, don't involve other people.
Right? That is your kid.
I've seen too many drug addicted babies in my day.
Bet you have.
To go, it's totally fine that we're offering free methadone or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. No. Let's take a look. Let's take a good hard look at what we're doing. That the enabling people to do the bad things. Big pharma, running rampant through Congress. They have their hands in so many pockets. It's terrifying.
Yes, sir.
And it's on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, sir.
That's even worse. Mm-hmm. Why have we gotten so far out of protecting our freedoms, looking out for one another? I don't get it. I don't get why there's so many things on the books. There's no reason for it.
I don't either. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because if you kept it simple, things can be interpreted multiple different ways. Yeah. You don't need to, we need to clarify that. Let's bring up another piece of legislation to clarify it just this certain way. No. Allow for the interpretations to involve all these different situations.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And it goes that whole pork barrel spending situation in Congress, and adding stuff to the bills that don't need to be there. Everything should be singular, because things can move a lot more quickly nowadays than it was back in the day when you had to write shit down and you had to have a committee to talk about it, and how you had your staff and your lawyers and all this other stuff. It doesn't have to be that way. Now it can be one thing, you vote on it, you talk about it, whatever, and then you go to the next thing. Nothing should be added to it. Nothing. That way we can have clarity on what we're trying to achieve, rather than, the Democrats didn't do it because of this. And the Democrats will say, you put that in there, so we couldn't vote on it because it'll make us look a certain way. And good, cool, great. Have a singular argument, a singular topic, Talk about it. Let the entire country see what the fuck it is. And then we'll judge you based on how you voted on that one singular topic, because then we'll know what you're about.
Yep.
Then we'll know what you're about. Not just other underhand pork barrel spinning, add this, add that to it. Nah, that needs to stop. That's underhandedness. You're not even being honest with the people now. You're just trying to do some sly shit.
Well, I just thought like the first COVID stimulus package that went through for the American people. The back end of that, like the initial bill that was brought, I couldn't agree with it more. Mm-hmm. I think a couple things needed to be added to it, such as, maybe a little something for healthcare workers, but
Yeah, that bit me in the ass. I appreciate that. But go ahead. Yeah.
But then you read through, and then you read through the actual bill that got passed. The whole entire back half of that bill had nothing to do with helping the American people.
It was all about businesses. It
was the Green New Deal, all these extra things. And it's like, why is that in this bill? Why is that involved in this bill? That has nothing to do. And that was one of the times where, I could see it being considered an olive branch, but at the same time, I think it was more of they just threw their hands up and called it. Mm-hmm. And it was the Republicans were like, fine, just get the bill, get the checks out to the people that need it most right now. Like, just screw it. Whatever you're putting in there, that's fine. Yep. And to see stuff like a very large sum of money go to the Kennedy Center, and then to see the Kennedy Center lay off 75% of its people. And all of that money went to top dogs in their pockets. Why is this here? Why was that in the bill? There's no reason for that. Why are we discussing bailing out the Postal Service during the middle of COVID when people need to pay rent and keep food on the table for their children and their families? Why are we discussing? We can discuss that at a later time. Exactly. That can be a different bill we can discuss individually. Exactly. As you were saying.
Exactly. I don't get that. I don't get that.
I dive so deep into those, and it was infuriating to me.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I mean, why would you not focus your attention in terms of resources to the medical fields? I mean, why? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
And then I see people posting up. I saw so many people take a vacation or, all these other things, and they had all these new, what do you call it? TVs, gaming systems, whatever else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are you guys affording that they're getting an extra $600 a week. And it's like, okay, I understand that you guys are out of work and you're not sure when you're going to go back to work. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice, but why don't you guys use that responsibly? Toss it away in the bank, bank that money for a little bit. So that way you have that backup and that setup. Mm-hmm. And also, why am I not receiving an extra? Or the nurses that are, facing this every single day, or the doctors, or, I thanked every janitor crew at the hospital that I ran into. They are the freaking, that's the cornerstone there.
That's ground zero, Jack.
And it's those people that deserve the greatest thanks. Man. And there's so many, I don't understand why everything is so ass backwards. It's just so, why are we discussing the Green New Deal in the middle of COVID? I'm not worried about my solar panels right now. I'm more worried about making sure that, my neighbor who, she had a very nice paying job, lost her job.
Oh man.
Completely, and it's not coming back.
Oh, dude.
It's not, the company closed. They had to shutter their doors. They weren't able to weather the storm.
Right.
Why are we discussing the Green New Deal when she needs to make sure that her kids have food on the table? I cooked multiple dinners and took stuff over to her, just to make sure that they had something. And that's just looking out. That's just being a human being.
Being a human being, bro.
We've gotten so far away from that.
So far. Too many of us.
And I don't even think Congress sees us all as human beings anymore.
Oh, they don't have to.
They see us as votes.
Yes. That's it.
How can we lie our way to those votes?
How can we stay in power?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first and foremost, we got to make sure those who give us the most money give us the most money. Mm-hmm. So we'll do whatever we want to make you think that we're doing it for you, when in fact we're not. We just want your fucking votes.
Yep.
I don't get it.
The amount of backhanded, I don't even know how to, it's not even like, I wouldn't say like compliment, but like virtue signaling and everything else that was going on, that has been going on during all of this time. Mm-hmm. It all seems very backhanded. Because I think you and me can honestly say neither party has America's best interest in in their heads.
No.
And so to do the stuff that they've done and talk the way they do, it's a backhanded slap in the face.
It is. It's almost a fist. It's a fist, bro. It's not even a slap. It's a full-fledged rock, Jack.
Yep. It's just completely disrespectful. And then, you got people like you and me that actually sit down and have the hard talk. And, me and you, I told you that it took me like a week to send my first question video to you. Just because I was like, I had so many preconceived notions that were totally dead wrong. I honestly thought that, I was going to be met with, it's just another white boy trying. No, I have this honest to God interest and curiosity, and I just want to learn.
Right.
And when you responded back in such a positive manner, it was like, whoa. That I did not. Somebody call CNN. Somebody call CNN.
Hell no.
Somebody call CNN and let's show them what's actually going on out here and watch Chris Cuomo just shit his pants.
I know, right?
That's the one guy that he absolutely drives me nuts.
Oh, Chris.
Because he makes zero sense.
Yeah.
He contradicts himself. If you watch his show on Monday and watch his show on Friday, he will contradict himself about 45 freaking times.
You're right.
And it's like, no. And also, please quit giving your brother from New York, the governor of New York, cush spots on your evening.
Yep. He's a promo machine, bro.
Oh my God. It was, and to praise your brother when your brother made it a policy to send grandma and grandpa with COVID back into the nursing home to spread it to it was his policy.
Yes, sir.
He killed people.
He basically, yeah.
By policy.
Yeah.
And you're going to praise him for it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you responded back, and now we've been going back and forth, we've had a couple of these talks where it's nothing but positivity. It's nothing but just trying to find solutions to things, trying to, and I'm like, somebody, let's show everybody what's actually going on out here, because y'all don't. It's going to blow your minds here in a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's going to be scary. I think I think this is probably going to be the last two-party election. I really do.
I hope so. I mean, in a non-violent way. I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so.
No, I think that there's going to be such a coming together on a human-to-human level here in society that it's going to make it so that it's not possible to have a two-party election. It's not in the best interest of if it's not in the best interest of everybody,
nope.
you don't get to be there. You don't get to play the game.
There was one time in North Carolina history that there was a party that formed between the Democratic and the Republican. It was called the Fusion Party. And that was one of the most peaceful times in North Carolina history in terms of just basic working folk.
Yep.
If we can do that on the national level, not call it the Independent Party, call it the Fusion Party or something to that that mantra. and just impose such a movement of collective of people of Americans, and have somebody represent that party at the presidential level, and it filtered through Congress and everything else, man. It will change the world, literally.
Well, that's what I was talking with my wife about. I was like, I'm gonna start. I told her, I'm like, I'm gonna run for freaking president, man, because
do it.
I don't have all the knowledge, but I know enough people to bring along with me.
There you go.
That it'll be there, you know, and I'm like, but we're gonna run on a different level, and I told her we're gonna call it the Revolutionary Party. We're going to let's revolutionize this whole entire system so that it gets back to what they initially fought for. And I'm not talking all the extra evil crap. I want that to be clear.
I was like, well,
but government for the people, by the people that fears the people.
Yep.
And because the initial one that I was going to call it was the Patriots, and she goes, "We don't want to be associated with that New England football team, so no."
Well, that too,
yeah. Robert Kraft is not a good man.
No, he's no.
But yeah, she was, and if you can just take the good parts of both parties, because there are on both sides, there are things that are good and bad. If you take the good parts, put them all together in one party, and have that, because that's what the people want represented. Why? That needs to happen. Why is this not happening? Why are we still sitting with this two-party? It was never meant to stay two parties. I don't think it was ever meant to stay two parties.
Nah, it was multiple parties up until Andrew Jackson got in office. I think it was multiple parties at the beginning. You had the Whig, and I mean it was a bunch of shit.
Yep.
And after the Civil War, bro, the powers that be really got funneled into a very small section or a very small group of people, and they were able to kind of like fraction off. And then, of course, then you had the Republican and the Democrat, and it pretty much stayed that way because that's where the power was from a wealth standpoint. And after World War II, they realized that it was going to be a global economy. It was inevitable. And two, if they got ahead of the game, they can have all the wealth to themselves. Hence why you have the 0.01%. These people have been concentrating their wealth for close to 200 years, and it's practically impregnable. To be honest with you, the only way we're going to do it is if we get a massive amount of people to realize what's going on, and then we just utilize the government and the system that we already have to vote in people who don't listen to those folks anymore, and they just need to just dissipate into society. They
will filter out. It will happen.
Exactly.
Once that happens, eventually, all these states that are gonna hold steadfast for a while.
Yeah.
They're gonna try their hardest to hold steadfast for a while.
Yeah.
They're not gonna survive.
No.
They're not gonna survive that kind of thing because they're gonna see the good that's happening.
There you go.
And once that happens, there's no logical choice other than to join, not conform, but join in and figure out, okay, first off, how can you guys help me? Second off, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been sitting there predicting it. I think that it's either going to be this election or the next one that will be the last of these major two-party. I think there's going to be a rise in these smaller grassroots parties that are going to get really big over the next 4 to 8 years.
I hope so.
We need it desperately.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I mentioned it in the TikTok comment. I would like to have seven political parties.
Okay.
7. I think. Well, first and foremost, is a holy number. Second of all, it's a really a good opportunity to form coalitions, so to say. Because if you have 7, of course, you'll have one or two things that really separate each other. But ultimately you can come together, you know, kind of like we have now with, you know, you have your centrist Republicans, and then you have your centrist Democrats, and this, that, and the third, independents, yada, yada, yada. All those groups, though, they have kind of like their something connecting them, i.e., normally the Constitution or you know, law and order, you know, some social programs, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But I think we can break off into seven strong that can draw a collective. And
Oh yeah, and each one represents, you know, each one will sit strong on its voters, be able to be down on the, you know, on the ground, making sure that they're addressing the issues. And I think 7 would, I really like that number because it also creates such a broader option for common ground.
Yes.
So then then let's figure out where we don't agree, you know, and see if we can come to a compromise.
There we go.
And that word is terrifying.
Oh no, not that C word.
You know, I'm sitting there, and even with this whole police thing, you know, it's, well, let's come to a compromise. And I had almost fully committed to this. I was going to have like this Zoom meeting with a whole group of people. And they're like, you know, initially the conversation leading up to it, me and the couple of the people that were trying to organize it was, you know, let's come to a compromise. Let me share with you the outside, the bigger picture, the other directions that you're not looking when you're talking about what you're talking about.
Yep.
And it turned, you know, and then I'm like, well, then let's come to a compromise. And I thought that that's where we were heading. And then it started to turn into this, well, you're just going to have to start dealing with whatever we decide for you. And it's like, you know what? There was a war about that. There's been several wars about these kind of things. And so, no, I don't care if it's just my job or not. I need to make it home to my family at the end of the day, just like you want to make it home to your family, and just like everybody else wants to make it home to their family.
Right on.
And I'm going to be honest, sitting there going, you telling me how what I'm just going to have to deal with? You know, no. Compromise,
Here we
and
go.
everyone come together, and everyone walks away feeling fulfilled, feeling like their needs are being met.
Right. I mean, it's really that simple, bro. I mean, safety and, you know, freedom to do things in a positive fashion. Obviously, if you do something negative, of course, there's going to be repercussions for that. But one's safety and one's freedom to live their life in a positive manner. I mean, those are two things that I think everybody can kind of conform to or agree with, I should say. Not necessarily conform to, but I mean, well, I don't know, it'd be kind of crazy if you don't want to be safe and have some freedom in this world, but you know, whatever. But I think those are two things that I think everybody, especially Americans, can agree on, and we can just go from there. You know, what do we need to do to ensure people are safe, and what do we need to do to ensure people have the freedom to make good decisions? Right. It's the reason. One of the reasons why we keep having poverty in this country is that people aren't put into position to make good decisions. They don't have enough options to make good decisions. It's either or. It's not either or, maybe, well, okay, then, you know, they don't have options. You know, and I think
it all starts in the ground level in your local communities. Why are those options not available?
Yeah.
What is going on? What can be done as a collective to fix it? Outside of, you know, bringing in that federal level, what can be done? And that's where I talked to you about the flipping the whole entire national school funding. Flip it on its head.
Yeah.
The schools that score the lowest deserve the most money. Let's figure out why these schools aren't, you know, and it's super easy to see why they're not succeeding and scoring higher.
Right.
They don't have. I told you before. There's schools down in Chicago right now, their history books don't hit Clinton.
Wow.
That is a problem. And then there's schools that are handing out iPads.
Yeah, every single student.
For the kids to keep.
Yes.
No.
Everybody
gets those same opportunities. And if we have to toss extra funding to bring this school up to date to that school, then this school shouldn't. It's called being an American and looking out and realizing I want everybody in my generation to have the same quality of education.
Yes. That'll go a long way.
Why is that taboo? Why are we talking about subsidizing solar panels? And I know I keep bringing it up. It's so infuriating that they toss that in on the back end of that. I was so beyond frustrated.
He does not like solar panels.
I was so like, I'm reading it and I'm reading the bill and I'm like, oh, this is really good. This is what? Why is it? Why are these all here? And it's why are we talking about federally subsidizing solar panels and bailing out all these major corporations when all of that money could be used to bring an education to people so that maybe the businesses that currently are in power right now get some competition by people who know what it's like to be on the ground level, who know what it's like to live with nothing and rise to something.
Yes,
why are we not?
That's a whole.
Why are we
feeling.
not empowering the American people? Because that scares the crap out of them.
It scares the crap out of them. This podcast should be known as the Fear Podcast, because we're exposing why the hell these people are scared to death that we get together and collaborate.
Yep.
Real talk. Real talk.
Yeah, it's. I've been listening to all of yours and every single one of them, and it's like, first off, tons of knowledge, as
Appreciate
per the
it,
usual with you, which I absolutely love.
Thanks, bro.
I'm sitting there and I got the notepad out and I'm like, okay, yep, keep talking. Taking notes in class, man. I burned through 3 notebooks already.
I love it.
I started watching
I love it.
Your TikToks, and so it's in there and I'm like the Southern strategy. I knew nothing about that. You talked about it on several podcasts, and I'm like, okay, that's something I need to desperately look into, because I've never even heard of that until you.
Wow.
And it's like, I distinctly, because I got in contact with a couple friends, and I was like, did we ever learn about that in school? Like, did I just miss that day, or was I sleeping that day, or what? Was I just not paying attention, staring out the window as per the usual? What was it? And they're like, no, what is that? And I'm like,
wow,
dude, let's blow your mind real quick.
Dude.
And
there's layers to that shit, bro. Layers.
It's the same thing. Why that's concerning to me, that even and my school wasn't underfunded. It was moderately funded. It was, we had up-to-date stuff. But why am I not learning? If I'm not learning about that,
yeah.
If I never learned that, dear Lord.
Yeah, man. Those Title I schools really didn't know about it.
Then there's people, So then I start reaching out to other schools and some of the majorly funded schools around here, and start asking, people that went there, and I'm like, "Do you guys ever learn about that?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "Bro, this is a problem. This is a problem.
Sure the hell is.
Let's figure out a way to fix this. I think it all starts with education, but a proper education, not a biased education. Just flat out
straight up truth, brother. It always goes back to that, man.
It always does, every single time, and I absolutely love it. I use it all the time now. I use that word all the time. People are like, "You used to talk about facts." I'm like, facts speak to truth, but you have to look at them to find the truth.
Yes. We're gonna make a difference, bro.
We are.
We're gonna make a difference.
I mean, you're already doing it, and you're getting to call people out. And
I'm gonna have to stop doing that, man. I'm gonna have to stop doing that.
Oh, dude, no, the one that you just put up today for the radio network or whatever. The guy talking about the rapper out of
that guy.
Oh man, Dude, I thought your phone was gonna frisbee. I thought it was. I sitting there watching it, and I'm like, he's gonna frisbee this phone. We're gonna watch this phone break. The end of this phone's lives right now. So what's gonna happen?
Some classical music while the phone flies across the screen in slow motion.
Exactly, dude, and it's stuff like that. And please don't ever stop calling people out like that because it's just so funny.
I appreciate it, man.
But then
it's genuine.
You also back it up with all of these different sources and everything else, and then when people hit you with sources that are so biased, like the YouTube, somebody posted up a YouTube thing and I watched it, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know how his head doesn't explode. He's sitting there going, this is what people are considered. Oh,
wow.
We're doomed.
I drink a lot of tequila. I drink a lot of beer.
Hey,
man, that too. Man, one of these days, dude, we need to meet somewhere, man, and have some brews, bro.
Oh, I'm definitely down. Always down for beers. And once this, hopefully this COVID stuff settles down, one of my doctor friends is like, honestly, November 4th may be the end of COVID.
Yeah, right.
Well, like not the actual disease, but like the actual like mass hysteria that's involved in it. Yes. Is it bad? Yes. Is it easily spread? Yes. The mortality rate.
Yeah.
That's what I look at with it. Yes. Have I seen people, and transport people on ventilators? Absolutely. Yeah. It affects people differently.
It does.
But the thing is, if you take a look at the actual numbers involved with that, first off, I think that they're a little bit on the inflated side. I've been taking a really hard look and looking into all of these cases where, like, we just had them up here in Wisconsin. This that the health lab found that, I think it was in one day, they found it was like 33% of the tests had turned up as false positives. Or they take a look at somebody posted this up, and they posted up the figures that the figure that they had said were new cases for the day. And then you take a look at the map, which is run by a different organization that actually it's all computerized. There's nothing they can do to stop that.
Right.
And you add up the new cases, they were off by 20%.
Yeesh.
They were inflated by 20%. What they were reporting this number, and it was actually lower.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff. But no, I'm definitely down to meet up for some brews.
Yeah,
100%.
I would love to. One of these days.
I've been meaning to make my way out to the East Coast.
Come on, man. Come on down.
And so I know we've talked about it with me being this country boy. To give you a little insight, I now have a pet bass.
A pet bass. Did you catch a bass and put it in a tank?
I found I was out fishing.
Yeah. And
there was a beer can right up next to the thing, so of course I pick it up.
Of course.
Make sure. And there was this little minnow in there.
Son of a gun.
And I went to go release him back, and he kind of was starting to float a little sideways. So I'm like, I'll take him home. I got a tank. Well, I'll rehabilitate him and let him go.
Right.
Well, now I'm attached to him. We've named him Henry after Henry VIII. And I went out and got him a buddy, and his it's a little suckerfish.
Yeah.
And we named him Pope Clement.
Clement.
And so every time we see those two and they look at each other, all I can think of is, I will not annul this marriage. I was just dying. But yeah, so I have a pet bass now.
Oh, man.
We're going to see how this turns out.
I have never heard of that. Nice.
Welcome, dude. I have a hodgepodge. Nice. I have a dog, I have a lizard, a snake, and now bass.
Bass on that ass. All right.
But yeah, we'll figure it out, and definitely next time we talk, I'll bring you on to my show, and we'll chit chat a little bit.
Woo! There we go.
I know you said next month's a little crazy for you.
Rock and roll. Well, not now. The COVID shit, man. So I run an audio entertainment company, right? Outside of the voiceover business, and I DJ and audio engineer weddings and things of that nature. So I had a lot of stuff pushed to August. I was doing Saturdays and Sundays throughout the entire month. I was busy, bro, and these are like late night shits. So right now I have had 4. Right, so I only have 2 that are still going on. So I have 4 pushed to next year. So we'll.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
next year.
Next year, bro. Yeah. Next year's gonna be a good year for me, but Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Just gotta try to bash your way through the rest of this.
Exactly, year. Man. Exactly. I really don't understand how these small businesses that have brick and mortar, actual locations outside of their home. It's devastating for those guys, man. It's really
We've
tough.
lost so many in our community that have just,
It's really sad.
I follow them all on Facebook. They're all my local, spots, and it's so bad to see. And then to see things like, they might sell it at a slightly higher price, but to see places like Walmart and, all these big chains thriving.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I shop local, we had to do a major fix. I've been off the air for quite some time. I'm sorry, this is running over that hour.
Oh, you good.
I've been off the air for like 2 weeks. We the AC broke in I think I told you about that.
Yeah.
Well, they finally fixed it. So we finally have AC back. After, they got it back just in time for our 100-degree weather.
Oh, dude.
And it took over the weekend of the 100-degree weather to actually cool the building down to a livable. It was so bad. So I wasn't able to shut off this little side AC and click on all these lights. And, we got the little one. I've got animals.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. So I've been off the air. Well, we had to do, with all that going on, they're not doing, and all the COVID, they're not doing all of these repairs that they normally do. So they were like, if you know how to fix it, just attach your receipt to your rent, and with rent minus whatever it is.
Right.
So we had to do a toilet repair.
Jeez.
Leaking all over the place. It was, and the little one decided that the tank didn't need to be on the toilet anymore.
Yeah.
She's sitting there pushing it, and it's an old school. These are older toilets, and
right?
So it cracked just enough to just. And I walk, you walk in there in the middle of the night, and
what in
the hell am I? Why is it flooded in here? And so, I talked with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we normally use Home Depot." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to be doing that." Because they were like, well, just go to Home Depot and get the parts. They should be X amount of dollars. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to my local Ace Hardware, locally owned.
There you go.
And the management was like, no, well, we're just going to pay you for the Home Depot price. And I'm like, that's fine. Buy local. Why is it? It's the same thing that you've been talking about with the Black Lives Matter thing.
Yeah, man.
Not national.
No.
Go local. Stay local. Help your communities out around you, and you're going to see the results. You're going to see where everything goes and how everything works. Or, I mean, even if it's not money, it's time.
Right.
Why quit going to these save these mom and pop shops that are just, first we had, the initial lockdowns, and then they started opening back up, but they could only open for drive, whatever it was. These places are struggling so bad. And then, of course, the fights in Congress over getting these people money, but yet we're going to go ahead and toss millions upon millions of dollars in bailout to major corporations who don't need it.
Yep.
It's just like, I tell everybody, buy local. And I actually finally got my cousin on board with it, even though he did just make a major purchase over at Home Depot, but I understand why. They had the Ryobi days, and it was like 5 tools for $200. It was a smoking deal.
Well, yeah, you gotta.
I can see that.
You gotta do that.
Now finally, you turn. I never understood what my uncle always did until now, and it's like that makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're a lot nicer. It's not these high school kids that have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Oh God,
doing this crap for years.
It does make a difference, though. It does make a difference. Austin, I appreciate you, bro. Dude,
I thank you so much for having me on again. I absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'll be on your show next time. Heck yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring you on over. That's what I thought today was, but then I think it was a misunderstanding all around.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Well, I get it.
That's why I was like, do you mind if I initiate it so I can screen record it?
Yeah.
But I ain't worried about it. We'll figure it out at a time.
Next time I'm on your show.
That sounds good to me, and it'll be a lot of you talking instead of me. I talk everybody's ears off, man.
It's fine, man.
I got a lot to say, and finally people are starting to listen, which is nice. And it's people like you who I can have an engaging conversation without it turning sour. Even if they're, I can bet that I've said at least one or two things that you were like, maybe, nah. But we still have that conversation. We have a lot of common ground.
Yeah, we do.
That's my favorite part.
Yes, sir. We'll expound on that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on, man. And I'll catch you on TikTok.
Yes, sir.
I'll think of some question today. I think I've got a couple that have nothing to do with politics or anything else.
That's fine, man. Just shoot them.
I got some food related questions.
Oh, now we're talking. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. I'm a big boy. I love my food.
All right, man. Thanks, Austin. Hey, I'll talk to you in a sec then.
All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Later.
All right. That was my man, Austin, back for another interview. And if you're on TikTok, please follow my man. I guess you've already seen his handle there at True American Dad. And of course, you can hop on over to my profile as well. You guys have a great day, great time, and keep your spirits high, all right? Peace and blessings to you.
Ninja warriors, the powers they hold are legendary.